Hiya! Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. Today I thought I would talk about something which I'm really passionate about and something that I'm really personally interested in, and that is gut health. I think over the last sort of 2-3 years it's definitely become a topic that has become quite a big discussion area. A lot of people are talking about it, and I just thought I would share with you some of the things that I found out in relation to your gut and your gut microbiome that I've just found really interesting so far, and just some sort of general ideas kind of around gut health and bloating, food intolerances, all that kind of stuff. As I have a very sensitive gut, I'm very prone to bloating. A lot of foods don't particularly agree with me, and I've often got bloated in the past to the point where I look full on pregnant. Luckily I've managed to work through that a bit more. I still do basically get bloated pretty much on a day-to-day basis, but it's very rare that I now get an extreme case. But I honestly just find the gut microbiome and the gut itself such a fascinating thing, and it's amazing just how much actually happens in the gut. So I just really hope that you find this interesting, and let me know anything else that I miss off, or any other sort of facts or things that you happen to know about the gut microbiome as well that you personally find interesting. I would love to know. I'm so interested in doing more and more research into the area, and I love finding out more about it, so definitely let me know if you know anything else about it. But without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Before I get into this, I do just want to say a quick disclaimer. I am no qualified nutritionist yet anyway. A little hint at maybe some announcement that's coming soon, but everything I say is just based on my own research, based on my own experience and what I find interesting, so you don't have to take it as the be all and end all. This is just sort of things that have maybe helped me and things that I just personally find interesting and just thought it'd be interesting to share. Definitely, if you do have serious digestive issues or any sort of gut health issues, do seek a professional help. Go to a doctor, see a nutritionist and actually sort it out properly. Don't trust social media influencers as a good source of advice, or do some of your own research and ensure it comes from a good source as well, such as some kind of high academic website or from some kind of scientific journal as well. The first kind of thing that I wanted to touch on is the fact that your gut is very much a two-way thing. It's a process between your gut and your brain and your brain and your gut, and they really can influence each other. It's crazy the size of your microbiome. It's made up of millions or even billions of bacteria, and I heard a fact recently. It came from the Rhitrition Food for Thought podcast on gut health. I'll link it down below, as that was so fascinating. And I think it was that if you took all the microbiome in your gut and put it all together, it would actually form the size of a cat's brain. That's how influential your gut microbiome can be. That's why you get gut feelings, and that's why it acts almost as a second brain in a way. And so that can obviously influence your brain, but then your brain also influences your gut in, for example, your mental state. So if you're stressed, anxious, there are often the times when you'll notice that your sort of bloating or regularity of going to the loo, maybe it might be a bit more off, because the secretions of those hormones can massively impact your digestion and therefore lead to the symptoms which you get due to that as well. So I just thought that was so interesting, the fact of just how powerful your gut really is. And also the microbiome, I think it makes up 2 kilos, I want to say, of your body weight. So that just kind of puts into perspective how large of a sort of, it's not exactly an organ, but how large of a thing it really is. It's almost basically enough to be an organ in its own right, really. Next thing I wanted to talk about a bit more is going into bloating a little bit more. And this is from my own kind of experience, have found that just really paying attention to what foods bloat you and when you notice it more, and then trying to work out whether it is some kind of food intolerance or whether it's just in general that your gut's a bit more sensitive and there's just types of food groups as such that it finds harder to digest. But then also differentiating from that as well, it could be down to some kind of life factor. Again, things like stress, anxiety, any kind of factor that affects your mental health. As I said, the brain and gut, they're a two-way thing that can massively impact your bloating too. So a good way to sort of go about this if you do suffer from bloating is to write out a food diary, keep track of what you eat and your symptoms after you eat those things, and see if you happen to notice when you're feeling more bloated, when you're less bloated, and whether it seems to be a completely random pattern, which would suggest that it's something more in the kind of direction of a lifestyle factor, or if it actually seems to be particularly tied to a food as well, and try and work it out that way. And then moving on from that, my next kind of area that I want to move on to is elimination. So if you do feel like you might have some kind of food sensitivity or intolerance, the best way to kind of definitely figure that out is not do the IgG blood test, because I did one of those, found out recently there's actually no scientific evidence backing them up at all, and yeah, there's nothing really supporting the strength of those. They might have something in them, they might detect something, but it's worth saving your money, and the best way to go about it is by eliminating that food for sort of 2-3 weeks, seeing if you feel better for it. If you can eliminate it for a few weeks longer, then that's even better, but you don't want to eliminate it for a substantially long period of time. And then if you do find that your symptoms do go down, then at a point where you feel like you're no longer suffering from your symptoms, try reintroducing it just sort of bit by bit, as some people will find that they can actually tolerate a small amount of the food and they're okay if they have it every now and again. So the best way to go about it is to have a little bit, wait a day or two, see if anything happens. If not, try having a bit more and keep sort of adding on to it in that way. That way you can figure out if you're definitely intolerant or sensitive to that food, or if you're able to maybe withstand a certain quantity of that food before you suffer from the symptoms that you felt by having that food. Also, something that's really important to note is that everyone is different. Everyone has a very unique microbiome. Everyone's guts will respond differently to different foods and different types of elimination diets, different life factors. Everyone is very diverse. And a way to really illustrate this, again, this came from the Renutrition Gut Health podcast, and that's the fact that identical twins only actually share 30% of their gut microbiome, and they're 100% genetically identical obviously, but only 30% of their gut microbiome is what they share, which shows just how much it varies. And the fact that it's so minimal in identical twins, you can just imagine how much it will vary between even siblings, parents, let alone everyone else in the world. So this is where it sort of comes in with social media and seeing things out there. Yes, you can try out things that have worked for other people, but don't expect the same results because of the fact that everyone is so different. So everything that you see, everything that other people say works for them, you kind of have to take with a pinch of salt and just see if it works for you, or if it's something that you would really struggle to stick to or try out, then don't do it. Unless you think it's going to really bring you benefits, even if they've said it works amazing, it really might not work for you. So that is just something I think is so important to flag up and make sure that everyone's so aware of. The last kind of thing that I want to touch on is how to really sort of support your gut microbiome. And the main thing that is so important to keep it thriving and keep it doing what it's doing is having a wide, varied diet. And that is why it's so important if you do try to eliminate certain foods that you don't do for substantial periods of time, because the more restricted your diet in terms of the variety that you're getting, the more your gut microbiome will suffer and the more you'll get symptoms such as bloating, constipation and everything else that comes along with it. So, especially eating foods that are plant-based, but not only things like fruits and vegetables, but things like nuts, seeds, any kind of grains as well. A good varied plant-based kind of diet. You don't have to be fully plant-based, but just making sure to get a good variety of those plant-based foods into your diet will really help your gut microbiome thrive, and that way you can also massively help to reduce any symptoms. It will ensure that you're getting enough fibre as well, as I can't remember the exact statistic, but it's a crazy percentage of people in the UK aren't getting enough daily fibre, and just incorporating more plant-based foods into your diet will really help to support your gut and also really increase your fibre at the same time, and the two and two together, it will really help with your overall digestion. So I just thought that was really interesting to point out that particularly the more sort of plant-based foods are the ones that can really help to support your gut. So that was my kind of a little roundup of all things gut health that I really find interesting, and some of the topic areas and facts and things that I found most interesting about it so far. I really do hope you have enjoyed this video. Also, like I said before, let me know down below in the comments if there is any other things that you know about the gut and you find interesting. I just find this whole sort of brain-gut connection so interesting. So yeah, let me know if you do have any other interesting facts. Also, be sure to smash a big thumbs up on this video if you've enjoyed it, as well as clicking on that little red subscribe button down below if you're new to my channel. Don't forget you can also tap on that notifications bell too so that you're notified whenever I upload, and I'll be sure to see you very soon with a brand new video. Bye!